welcome to the Magic of Joy channel. So today I want to discuss desperation. We have a lot of it. It can be hard to understand why there is so much of it. I mean, we have so much in material support now. So it can seem strange that we have so much suffering and desperation. Let's see if we can do something about that. So first of all, what is it? Well, according to vocabulary.com, desperation is a hopeless state. So the example they give, if you learned that your friend had sold her beloved shoe collection, you'd know she did it out of desperation. At least that was the example they gave. It's when you've lost hope and you've run out of possible solutions to a problem, you're experiencing desperation. And the word implies a kind of reckless kind of frustration. For example, a person who hasn't eaten in 3 days might steal food out of desperation. And the origin of the word traces back to the Latin desperare, to lose all hope. So desperation comes as a result of losing hope, and it suggests that one is running out of time, and also that one's back is up against the wall, and you've run out of options. It also suggests that sometimes people act against their own best interests when they're desperate. It's also painful because desperation often suggests physical vulnerability and even the threat of death. Of course, not all desperation is equal. We can feel desperate for food or water if we haven't had any for a while, and that can be serious and even life-threatening. We may feel desperate if we can't seem to win at something like a game, but it's a game. And although we may become extremely frustrated, the danger to us is minimal. It's more in our minds and expectations. It's not a matter of life and death. And then relationships can be a source of desperation also, particularly if we cannot be who we are in them and if they're extremely toxic and debilitating. In some relationships, you don't have a voice. And we see this in the political space in the United States, the effort to make sure some people don't have a voice. And of course, not having a voice and a say in one's life leads to desperation and an awful lot of anguish. Desperation can feel harsh and immediate, but it does not necessarily come out of nowhere. Desperation can be a creation or side effect of our living habits and practices, or it can be the result of the habits and practices of our culture. In addition, it can come from a change in circumstance, something unpredictable like a flood or an illness, which changes your living conditions. The explosion in human population and climate issues are a perfect storm for creating desperation as the earth becomes increasingly unable to support all 8 billion of us. So there are a lot of causes of desperation, some created by us, some our circumstances, and some our cultures. It can come from anywhere. So this may seem like a strange question to ask, but it might be worth wondering if it does anything for us. And that's what we want to look at next. How can desperation help us? Well, being aware of the potential for desperation can cause us to create support for ourselves and our needs. Not being aware of the potential can actually be harmful. Perhaps the easiest way to invite desperation is to think that we're invincible or not vulnerable. And of course, that's not the case. It can help us as a way to be mindful about it, to see it as an interruption of our flow in life. Flow is something we all want because of the wonderful wholeheartedness we feel when we're in flow. Life just works. It has the quality of ease and a natural forward movement that feels beautiful. Being in flow helps us to be optimally productive. It helps us to feel that we're using our time well, and it makes us happy to be alive. Being in desperate circumstances changes our feelings about our life. It's important to notice how we're managing our needs and commitments, and whether we're having lots of problems or problems are piling up in our life. The more we're able to minimize unnecessary problems, the more flow we can have and the more enjoyable life becomes. So it's worth asking where we have problems that are currently interrupting flow and what problems we have that might invite problems in the future or desperation in the future, so that we're creating scarcity and desperation that perhaps we don't have to have. Knowing that we can experience adverse situations that would interfere with flow and create desperation for us, what might be some ways of thinking that could support us better? There are certain ideas we may have or be encouraged to have that can work for us, and some that can work against us. So one that works for us is that reality is our friend. When we think of reality as the enemy, then we're probably making decisions that aren't serving us. This is a simple example. If we think we should be free to do whatever we want, we might shortchange our needs for sleep, eat poor quality food, and be reckless in other ways. The antithesis of that is to let the reality of our physical needs guide us to make decisions that serve our physical well-being, so that we not only work with greater ease, but we're also less likely to become sick. This isn't a lecture about responsibility, but simply a way to understand that we can make reality work for us or against us if we fight it. A counterproductive idea would be the idea of limitlessness. Limitlessness is a tricky topic because over time there are few limits to what we can do. At one point, we all lived in caves and we had few of our needs met. Today, our lives are much more supported. So we've accomplished so much more than our early ancestors could have imagined. Yet at the same time, if we believe in limitlessness as a fixed condition or a reality, we will not pay attention to when we're depleting our resources. And that's the case right now in an economic system that believes in limitlessness and which, as a result, is not paying attention in a serious enough way to environmental stresses and extreme depletion. Another idea that will work against us is that we will be rescued. Yes, our families and friends can help us out in a pinch, and many are happy to do so, and that's great. And there's nothing wrong with that, because none of us are perfect, and there is a difference between needing occasional help and the recklessness that comes from expecting others to continually cover for us. That actually, in a lot of people's minds, would be a form of abuse. Another way to think about things that can be helpful is to recognize that there is no one answer in life. Sometimes people invest in one thing or another, thinking it will be their answer in life. This is where belief systems and mindsets can harm us. If we see one thing as our answer for life, let's say we think work is the answer, then we will invest in work to the exclusion of other possibilities and aspects of ourselves and miss out on the richness in life and the many sources of nourishment and support that exist. I like to work. It's enjoyable. It's a way to grow and develop, and it's a way to bring goodness to the world. All of that is wonderful. However, it concerns me that here in the United States, where I live, we've made life all about work by organizing our country, so it's hard for people not to spend most of their time working. So it's worth looking at ideas you have. These are just a few to see where you could benefit from making some shifts. Now, how does a joy practice make this easier? Well, one of the benefits of a joy practice is that it makes joy our purpose more than our survival. When our primary focus is on survival, and it does matter, of course, we invest in survival as our purpose, and that shifts how we view others as competitors and threats, and our interest in outsmarting those who would take us down. Our view of life is that it's more of a war than a beautiful experience. The resources we need to fight wars and best others can cause us to be reckless in our commitments, so that we give too much to winning whatever battle we're fighting, depleting ourselves and inviting failure as a result. When we have joy as our focus and the joy practice is how we operate, we remove from our life those things that will harm us as a matter of course, poor health habits being an example. We look at how we're using resources to make sure we're not over or under consuming, so that we are always supporting ourselves adequately and not inviting unnecessary emergencies or failures. It's not about scarcity. It's about staying grounded and adequately nourished. And we're doing what we can to minimize disruption to our flow in life by keeping our feet on the ground and using our time and energy wisely. There is a safety in that we give to ourselves, and it's a great gift to give ourselves. Life will never be perfect, and we cannot prevent all problems, but we can sure give ourselves the best break we can by being grounded and wise. And when we do, we have less desperation in our lives because we're on our side and the side of hope, and it is something we've given to ourselves, and I hope you decide to do so. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed learning more about how joy can transform your life. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and loved ones. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos on the transformational power of joy. I'll be back soon to give you more information about how joy as a practice and compass can transform your life. Stay well and joyful until then, and thank you for watching.